caught my neighbor hitting my car on camera, but what happened next made me change my mind about humanity. I'll never forget the day I caught my neighbor hitting my car on camera. I had just installed a new security system at my house, and I was eager to test it out. As I was reviewing the footage, I saw a car backing out of my neighbor's driveway and hitting my parked vehicle. I couldn't believe it. I had always thought my neighbor was a nice guy, but now I was furious. I immediately went to my neighbor's house and confronted him about the incident. To my surprise, he didn't deny it. Instead, he looked at me with tears in his eyes and said, "I'm so sorry. I was in a rush to get to the hospital. My wife was having a heart attack and I wasn't thinking." I was taken aback by his response. I had expected him to make excuses or try to shift the blame, but instead, he was taking full responsibility for his actions. I asked him if his wife was okay, and he told me that she was in stable condition, but the doctors were still running tests. As we stood there, I noticed that my neighbor was shaking and looked like he was about to collapse. I invited him inside and offered him a glass of water. As we sat down, he started to tell me about his wife's condition and how he had been taking care of her for months. He was exhausted, both physically and emotionally. As I listened to his story, something shifted inside of me. I realized that my neighbor wasn't a careless person who had intentionally damaged my car. He was a desperate husband who was trying to save his wife's life. I felt a wave of compassion wash over me, and I knew that I had to forgive him. I told my neighbor that I wasn't going to press charges or even ask him to pay for the damages. I just wanted him to take care of his wife and get the help he needed. He was overwhelmed with gratitude, and we hugged each other, both of us crying. In that moment, I realized that humanity is complex and multifaceted. We are all capable of making mistakes, but we are also capable of showing kindness, compassion, and empathy. My neighbor's actions had initially made me angry, but his story had changed my perspective. I learned that sometimes the people we think are our enemies can become our friends, and that forgiveness can be a powerful tool for healing and transformation. As I looked at my neighbor, I saw a person who was struggling, just like the rest of us. And in that moment, I knew that I had to be more understanding, more patient, and more compassionate. The incident had started out as a negative experience, but it had ended up being a powerful reminder of the goodness of humanity.